achieved.
Oh, man. Jamal Adams is desperate to get away from the New York Jets, and he is desperate to be a Dallas Cowboy. We'll take a look at the very latest evidence of that here from Studio Day Heffrey. Welcome in. Make sure to be subscribed to the YouTube page, youtube.com/Jeff Kavanaugh, and leave in the comments what you want to talk about tomorrow. This is about Jamal Adams, but I got to tell you, I don't watch a lot of NASCAR, but I do now. I'm a Bubba Wallace fan. But Dave Blaney was just blocking 4 wide at Talladega, mashing dudes into walls to get the W. That was a fun race. Jamal Adams. So he's gone above and beyond. In case you haven't seen it yet, he was driving around, I believe, in his Jeep. Was it a Jeep? And somebody saw him and was recording. And was like, Jamal, come to Dallas. And he was like, I'm trying, bro. He's now openly acknowledging, like, yes, I want to be a Dallas Cowboy. But the latest is even better than that. Because the latest, let me pull this up for you. The very latest with Jamal Adams is he's saying bye to his current teammates on social media. Marcus May is tweeting, show him why you're the best free safety. Miss balling with you the most. So Jamal Adams is doing literally everything possible to let the Jets know, I hate you. I want out. This is not for me. Trade me. Get me out of here. He's doing everything in his power to be the biggest distraction possible to try to get himself moved out of New York. Now, we are going to run into the trouble with that. The trouble with that is that your general manager has to trade you. And that part will be a little bit of a challenge, and I'll detail all the reasons why. But first, let's go through what my buddy Jane Slater of the NFL Network had to say on the Jamal Adams front. She said a few additional notes on the Jamal Adams situation as it relates to the Cowboys, according to a source close to the situation. A thread. 1, there's a trust issue with the Jets now. He felt like he's been a team-first guy, even with coaching changes. He was told they would redo his contract, and they haven't, making him wonder how committed they are to him. Now, that's a problem on an NFL team, on any pro sports team. If you feel like you've been lied to, you're going to have a problem. What is that hair doing? If you feel like you've been lied to, that's going to be a problem. This is golf. Wow, look at that. This is my haven't showered since golf hat hair. Shot a 91 today, new personal record, even though I shot 2 triple bogeys in the last 3 holes. That's a problem, right? If a player feels like I've been promised something and that never comes to fruition, that's a problem. So something there happened where he had a feeling like they were going to redo the contract, they were going to give him an extension, he was going to get a big payday, and it's never really been visited or he's never had an offer, and so that's a problem. Here is the fun part for Cowboy fans. Number 3 from Jane Slater. He's willing to bend, as suggested on the contract, and has even considered the money he can make up for whatever he bends on in the Dallas market. Not in whatever market he goes to, but in the Dallas market. He wants out of New York. He wants to be in Dallas. That's where Jamal wants to be. And when we get through all of this, I'm going to go over exactly what he's worth, according to the nerds, and if you should consider trading what I think is fair or more or less, and that's coming up here in just a few minutes. 4 from Jane Slater. I'm told off the field he's the type of guy that puts family first, one of the first to leave a party early. 5, Dallas, his hometown, his desired destination. 6, not much new here, but worth noting the bend part because Cowboys haven't been overly interested in giving up much. And therein lies the problem. So, Jamal wants out bad. And clearly, this is a strategy that he and his agent have decided to go with, which is just make it uncomfortable on the team. Consistently be on social media. Create the headline that Jamal Adams wants out. Saying goodbye to your fellow starting safety on social media as if it's a done deal. He's just trying to put as much pressure as he possibly can on the Jets to think, you know what, this is broken, we can't fix it, and we're better off with whatever we get for him than having him around. Problem is that he is such a great professional. When it's time to play football, he'll show up and play football. So the challenge is that when a player goes the nuclear route of just social media, go after the team, talk about how I've been lied to, campaign to get let go, all of these different things, it's not good for your trade value. Like somebody like the Cowboys, if he's openly campaigning to get to you, what's your incentive to give up a bunch to get him? And if you're the Jets, and regardless of how he feels about the front office or his current situation, he's got his 4th year on his rookie deal, his 5th year option, and then he can be franchise tagged, and then he could be franchise tagged again. So for the Jets, unless you're giving me a giant haul, no matter what mood he's in or how he's feeling about the front office, for 4 years, he's a Jet. Unless you make it worth my while to part with him, I don't think Joe Douglas, the GM in New York, is going to be bullied into just saying, all right, you win. You can go wherever you want. Work out the deal with your agent. That becomes the challenge. Now, let's get to examining what is Jamal Adams worth. And Pro Football Focus did an article on that today. What is Jamal Adams worth? And they go through his career. And so like last year, Jamal Adams gave up 4.5 yards per target. That's absurd. Think about that. When you throw at a guy, 4.5 yards per target. That's absurd. I think Byron Jones, who is one of the best cornerbacks in football, I know you're going to say, no interceptions, but in yards per target, he's one of the better cornerbacks in football. And that's in the 6s in yards per target. He's at 4.5. His yards per coverage snap allowed is in the top 4th of the league at his position. And obviously, as a pass rusher, he's the best safety in the game. 47 pressures over the last 2 years. First among safeties in pass rushing productivity among guys who have rushed at least 35 times. 6 sacks last year. He's an incredible blitzer. He's a plus guy in coverage. He's absolutely awesome. Then they go through how Jamal Adams, what is the background doing? Let me know if you guys, oh, you know what that is? It's because I got my monitor on because I was watching the NASCAR, end of the NASCAR race. Let me just turn that away from there. Man, I'm sorry if you have, what's the condition that flashing lights will mess? Man, I'm sorry if that gets you. I didn't mean to. There's evidence that Jamal Adams elevates the players around him, right? So they take Brian Poole, former Falcons nickel corner, plays the slot. Over 3 seasons in Atlanta, he generated .48 wins above replacement across 2,600 snaps. So in 3 games, he added a grand total of .48 wins above replacement. Playing with Jamal Adams in 2019, .47 wins above replacement. So he was as productive in terms of what he's doing to lead to wins in 1 year with the Jets on the field with Jamal Adams than he was in his 3 previous years. So what is he worth? They say a top-end deal for a safety of Adams' caliber is on the order of $15 million a season, right? 7.5% of the projected cap. While this is significant, Pro Football Focus says it's nowhere near Khalil Mack's $23.5 million APY signed 2 years ago. And given the value differential between an all-around safety and edge player, as long as the team acquiring Adams doesn't surrender the multiple first-round picks that the Bears did to take on Mack before the start of the 2018 season, they will best that trade by a country mile. Now here, to me, is the most interesting part of this whole thing. Jamal Adams, who is a highly drafted box safety. And people are like, well, no matter how good he is, he won't be good enough to be a top 10 pick. And I had him as top 5 player in that draft because he's an incredible football player. He's already significantly eclipsed his draft pick expectation during his 3 years with the Jets. And if he plays as well in 2020 as he did in 2019, listen to this. He'll be worth the average first 4 years of the 19th overall pick in just 1 year. In terms of value added, wins added, Jamal Adams, the way he played last year, will be worth as much as your average 19th overall pick's entire first 4 years will be worth. Now, you may have to give him a big extension, so money-wise, but for a team that trades for him, you know what he would cost the Cowboys in year one? $3.5 million. His signing bonus, that portion would stay with the Jets. You would have the roster bonus and the base salary. He would count $3.5 million against the books. Less than $10 million against the books next year. And then his extension. And obviously, if he signs one, you could prorate out some signing bonuses into those years. But yeah, first-round pick, it's easy to give up for Jamal. Easily you give up a first-round pick. I'm probably talking myself into contradicting myself and saying, give up way more. So where does Jamal Adams end up? I think likely the Jets know how much value he has. The Cowboys know how much he wants to be in Dallas. Those two things don't work together well. Jerry's looking at it like, guys, we could wait, right? Now, Jerry doesn't have a long time to be waiting on a long time, and Jamal's got 2 years, and again, they could tag him. So really, if you did want him, you would have to pry him away, because otherwise you're waiting at least 3 years, because if they really like him in New York, they're going to franchise tag him at least once. So you'd have to make that deal at some point. But Joe Douglas is not going to be robbed for an incredible player. It just doesn't make sense for a young team that's trying to build something to give him away unless they're desperate to do something else with the money they would pay to Jamal Adams. But what are you going to do that's better than the money Jamal Adams is going to get? So it's up to the Cowboys now. And other teams, if they're interested, he'd go to other teams. But Jamal is trying his best to get away from the Jets. He wants to be a Cowboy. Can Jerry Jones make it happen? How much is too much to give up? Those are questions for another day. What would you give up for Jamal Adams? Leave it in the comments. Players, picks, what would you give up for Jamal Adams? And also leave what you want me to talk about tomorrow. And also leave, I've got a great recipe for chicken wings now. I think I'm ready for like competitive level chicken wings smoking. What do you put on your wings? How do you get down? You know, you got a specific rub? You got, are you a barbecue sauce guy? How do you like the skin? Crunchy? Not crunchy? Let me know. And I'll catch you guys on the radio tomorrow and probably in another video shortly because I got more stuff I want to talk about. So I'll catch up with you guys here in just a bit. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube page and leave stuff in the comments and hit the thumbs up. I think the thumbs up helps me. Thanks.